P-Storm.
Hello, welcome back to P-Storm. I am Pluvius Lilon, and today we're playing Wright Justice for All, and we're gonna at least try to get to the first trial of this episode. So, when we last left off, a whole lot happened, honestly, but what it boils down to is we're basically being blackmailed into defending Matt on guard, and that's never a good sign. Right, I think we're supposed to leave the building, actually. Yeah, I don't know what I wasted all that time wandering around for, but okay. I don't like to look through reports. I like suicide reports even less. Worst of all, the reports that have multiple parts like that one. That has two. 2 parts? What you just handed me is the first part of the report. Here's the second part. The second part of the report is about an attempted suicide. The attempter's name... it's Adrian Andrews. Miss Andrews? What did she do? She tried to kill herself? She doesn't seem like the kind of person to try and kill herself, though. You think she's a strong career woman, huh? That's just what she wants you to think. Adrian Andrews. She has a certain secret she's always tried to hide. A secret? Her dependent nature. That's what she's really like on the inside. Miss Andrews, dependent? Talk about the exact opposite of what that woman is. What's this about Miss Andrews having a dependent nature? Adrian Andrews' attempted suicide was a few days after the death of Celeste Impax. And why did Adrian Andrews think about committing suicide? Because she had apparently lost her will to live. Lost her will? But why would she... Her pillar of strength, her mentor Celeste Impax, was gone forever. That's why. Why would that... Is this what they call following someone to the grave? After her attempted suicide, Adrian Andrews started attending counseling sessions. She's someone who needs a person whom she can trust absolutely. And once she finds that person, she'll do anything to keep them near. Without such an anchor in her life, her crippling anxiety stifles her ability to live. And that's the nature of her dependency on others? When Celeste Impax suddenly committed suicide, the world before her turned pitch dark. That's according to Adrian Andrews herself. Then, that means her super confident attitude, it's all a facade. She's only copying her mentor's behavior to hold herself together. How terrible. I think we go back to the... No? Okay, right. Right, Matt is, quote-unquote, out to lunch. So I guess, just present everything to everyone now, and hope for the best. Right, I think we already showed a bunch of evidence to Old Bag. Well, I guess let's just show the new evidence to everyone, then. Oh, duh. Present it to Adrian. Go in there and say, yo, bitch, why you trying to kill yourself for? Oh, Miss Andrews is here. It looks like she's talking with someone. That's Franziska von Karma. Miss von Karma? What are you doing here? Well, you see, I'm his lawyer, so... You've got some following me around. Following you? That's you, Miss Von Comma. You're the one doing the following. Pearls, you're always following after that Mr. Detective with the little beard. Me? Following after Scruffy? Don't make me laugh. Let me show you something interesting, little girl. What is that? An electromagnetic receiver. I planted a tracking device on that detective. And with this, I know that fool's every move. So that noise we heard was this receiver. I feel really sorry for poor Detective Gumshoe now. Now then, let's stop wasting time. Adrian Andrews. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Alright. What were those two talking about? Miss Andrews. She seems a little dazed, doesn't she? I'd like to ask you about this. I told you, I hate trifling matters. It's a waste of time to show me things that are of no relevance to me. And slide over. No? But Juan's hotel room was 2 screens wide. Why is Matt's hotel room smaller? Okay, so we need to present Juan's profile. Let's see, where's he at? Where's he at, the little bastard? Did you know the victim, Mr. Corda? Yes, I knew him. The world is such a small place, after all. Did you know about his rivalry with the Nickel Samurai? Honestly, they were like children when it came to that. Time and time again, those two competed with each other over the most trivial things. If either one of them wasn't so stubborn, then maybe no one would have needed to die. I've got a hunch that this woman knows more than she's letting on. She must know why Juan Corda was killed. Do you have any ideas? As to why Mr. Corda was murdered? Why would you ask me about such a thing? I'm just doing my job, so do you have any ideas? Here's the problem. Miss Andrews? Sorry, but there's nothing more I have to add to this conversation. Is it a succulent, Mr. Nick? Yes. It's getting to be more and more of these lately. Alright. Let's go. Why was Juan Corda murdered? If you ask me, I think you know the reason he was killed. Why are you hiding things? Don't you realize you're putting Mr. Onguard's life in danger by your actions? Why do you ask questions for which I have no answers? The truth is, I was not that close to Mr. Corda. You were not that close? That's right. I've never been good at being intimate with another person. You're not good at being intimate with another person. Somehow I highly doubt that. You and Mr. Corda had an intimate relationship, did you not? A silly third-rate tabloid article. If you even had half your wits about you, you wouldn't believe such rubbish. Well, it seems quite a few people have already bought into this story. As to be expected in a world filled with crooks and liars. Note to self, stay on her good side. In any case, I despise interpersonal relationships like that. I see. However, what if there was a need for you to get close to someone? Me? Need to get close to Mr. Corda? As if there was ever such a need. Didn't you get close to Mr. Corda for this person's sake? Celeste Impax, your mentor. How do you know about Celeste? Miss Impax. She committed suicide, didn't she? But it looks like no one knows why. Right before her death, she was Juan Corrida's manager. So I believe you got close to Mr. Corrida so you could find out more about her suicide. You have a great imagination. You may have a future yet as a slimy muckracker for a putrid third-rate tabloid. Miss Andrews? There was no mystery surrounding her death. None. It would be pointless for me to force myself into a relationship for nothing. Is that really true? Is there really no mystery at all? I don't believe you were completely at ease with the way her suicide was resolved. Get a hold of yourself. Huh? If you want advice on doing yourself in, I suggest asking someone like the police. Which translates to... go take a long walk off a short pier. I skipped a step. Miss Impax's suicide note was never found, was it? Looks like the police were under suspicion that someone had hidden it. Like maybe the person who discovered her body, Mr. Corrida. Juan? And Miss Andrews, I believe you thought the same thing. That is why you became intimate with Mr. Corrida. I've sat by quietly and listened to your insulting ramblings long enough. It's true that Celeste was my mentor. However, allow me to say this again. It had nothing to do with me. I didn't even know that her suicide note was never found. I'm a person who doesn't care about what goes on in the lives of others. That's the impression you like to give. However, I don't think that's who you really are. What? I have evidence that says otherwise. This is proof that Celeste Impax was someone very special to you. Miss Andrews, you nearly went through with it too, didn't you? Went through with what? Ending your life. Miss Andrews, you look and act like a very strong woman who has it all together. You don't ask for anyone's help, relying only on yourself. Yes. I've been very independent ever since I can remember. However, that's all a lie, a facade. You've always searched out people on whom you can depend on. That's... You were dependent on Miss Impax, weren't you? Which is why, when she passed away, you lost everything you had. Stop! When Celeste passed away so suddenly like that, I died a death of my own, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop thinking about what had become of her note. You must have heard about the police report. The one that said the police suspected Mr. Corrida of hiding Miss Impax's note. You heard about it and thought to recover it from him by getting close, am I right? If that's the case, then everything changes. What do you mean? What topic did we start this conversation on again? It was why the victim was killed. Exactly. Somehow, Miss Andrews, seems that you've become the one with a reason to want Mr. Corrida dead. Me? Miss Impax was everything to you. And then she died. And you would do anything to find out why she killed herself. Even commit murder. Murder? Oh, whoops. It's true. I am a woman who can only live in insecurity. I'm physically small and I don't really have a lot of self-confidence. I've pushed against all that, though. I've tried to live strongly. I never wanted anyone to find out the truth. Miss Andrews, this one thing... It's the one thing I wanted to take with me to the grave. It was my secret, mine and mine alone. I'm sorry. You probably think I'm a worthless human being right now, don't you? Please, Miss Andrews, all I want to know is the truth. After Celeste passed away, I heard that someone had hidden her suicide note. And that someone was Juan Corrida. Celeste, without her, I became scared. Everything seemed like, everyone seemed like they were out to get me. So you got close to Mr. Corda to recover her suicide note, correct? Looks like that tabloid reported the truth after all. Ironic, isn't it? Well, like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if they purposely add fuel to the fire, they keep the celebrity world burning. But as for the suicide note, I didn't and wouldn't kill anyone for it. It just doesn't suit me, that's all. Well, that's enough for now. I still have work to do, so... I understand. Though I have one small favor to ask. My attempted suicide. I'd like for you to keep it a secret. Miss Andrews. If people find out about my weakness, I'd sooner choose to die than live. Alright, I understand. We'll keep it a secret. Miss Andrews, I guess she's the overthinking type. She probably never says anything without thoroughly thinking it through first. Thank you for your discretion. Mr. Nick, can I ask you something? What is it? Miss Andrews isn't playing with that card in her hand since a little while back. That card? Yeah, I guess she has. Miss Andrews, what's that card you're holding? Huh? Oh, this? I don't quite know. It just suddenly appeared in my handbag. What is it? Looks like a seashell? That's what it looks like, doesn't it? I honestly don't remember owning this card. I wonder where I picked it up from. Her not remembering something clearly sounds like it could be a rare occurrence. Well, I must be off. I leave Mr. On Guard in your capable hands. Well, I think we've gathered about all we can. What about Mystic Maya? Is she alright? Oh, Pearls. She looks so worn out by all this. She hasn't slept at all and has been walking all over the place with me today. What's wrong, Mr. Nick? Let's go back to the office for a little while. You're really tired, right? Oh, no. I'm okay. Really. I'm fine. I really am. You don't look fine to me. Right this way, and this way. There we go. So, what now? Well, we did find one thing out for sure. Miss Andrews has a motive. You mean Miss Impex's suicide note? That's right. She was also the one to discover the victim's body. Clever. Oh, Mr. Nick, the transceiver. Hello? Wright and Co. Law Offices. Mr. Attorney, you're not answering a phone. Maya. Where's Maya? As I promised, I have not gone within a few feet of her this whole time. Which is why, I suppose, she is absolutely famished. What? So I suggest you win a quick acquittal, my friend. At any cost. Wouldn't you agree? Wait, Maya, let me hear her. Very well.
Ask my...
Maya, is that you?
sis. Ask my sis.
Maya. Maya, damn it. He cut me off. Mystic Maya said, ask my sis, didn't she? Sis? What does she mean by that? Come on, Phoenix. You're a hopeless one. Sorry. Ah! Mia! I have a message from Maya, so... Come, ask me anything you want about her. How's Maya? She's safe, for now. That kidnapper's one to keep his word, it seems. I'm glad to hear she's safe. But, Mia, how did you know? As soon as she was locked up, Maya called for me. I read the note she left. Then I gathered as much information about her surroundings as I could. I didn't know you could use spirit channeling like that. Pretty smart of her. The kidnapper, what's he like? I don't know. Apparently, Maya went to answer a phone call at the hotel and was drugged there. And? She didn't see the face of her attacker. Ah! Maya's locked up in a very dark place right now. I'll tell you everything I heard when I was with her. When you were with her?
I'm starving. If I had a nickel for every time someone drugged me in order to carry out a murder, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. I could really go for some apple pie. I mean, at a time like this, sweets are really the only way to go. I have to stay positive. He promised he wasn't going to kill me. I'm not going to die. Sis, I wonder if you're with Nick right now. What's this? Feels like there are a lot of glass bottles here. And these, they feel like barrels. I'll pass. Too bad I'm really hungry and not really thirsty. Huh? Someone dropped a card here. Kinda looks like a business card, but there's no name on it. It's a picture of a seashell, I think. What a strange card. Drat, it's locked. This door seems easy enough to open. On TV, the hero always uses a plastic card or a piece of cardboard. Then, click, they magically open the door. I wonder if there's a card like that around here that I could use. Ah, that's it! The shell card. If I use this, maybe I can get the door open. This might be my key out of here. I had a feeling this card might be useful. I'm such a genius. Alright. Now, if you'll excuse me, Mr. Kidnapper. I did it! Okay. Now I'm getting the heck out of here. I shouldn't keep Nick waiting. Or worried.
To be continued. Well, yeah, that almost took 30 minutes. But not quite, which means we get to start the trial. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that'll implicate you. A mountain of evidence? I'm certain there's someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer, dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? I can't let any sort of scandal ruin that. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Mia, we must get a complete acquittal today. I know, but I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. It's him. This is Wright.
Good morning. This is it, Mr. Attorney. The day of the trial.
Maya, she's unharmed, right?
Well, when I checked on her earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how shall we say, tired. Don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, what you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For my sake as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning.
Present? What in the world would you want to give me?
You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And even if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please.
Wait. The kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer Dude? Who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get longer? Court is now in session for the trial of Matt on Guard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. Why are you getting mad at me? Your Honor. Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. Yes, one of the top prosecutors in the country with a win record of 0-2 in this country. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she all right? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. That's good. Whew. Your Honor, due to the circumstances, Miss Franziska Von Karma cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I've looked this case over and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt on Guard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation. My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct, for now. For now? After this trial's over, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe? The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up and face forward like a proud officer, Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah. It would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. The answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. This murder happened after the Hero of Heroes award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrido, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believe he was definitely murdered, sir. At first, we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out that the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. After the awards ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone to their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yeah, it's press. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m., and then there was a short little break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during that 30-minute break period. Please continue with your testimony, Detective. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who is this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant Matt on Guard's manager. She's a really pretty lady, sir. Ah, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Mr. On Guard. After visiting his room, she went to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. And that's when she found the victim's body. The cause of death, wasn't that because Mr. Cordo was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would leave something so brainless as that, pal. Or would believe something so brainless as that. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention will be drawn here to his bandana. Banana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir. Oh, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck in the victim's chest on purpose after his death. We have a crafty murderer on our hands here. And why'd you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The Jammin' Ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. And we couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but... The only fingerprints found in the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory, then. What convinced you it had nothing to do with the case? The guitar wasn't at the Gatewater Hotel that night. Well, then where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corda, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty even before he got to the hotel. Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all. I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his bandana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt on Guard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edgeworth's back in full swing. Very well. Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Matt on Guard and Juan Corda were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way, That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's button. It was ripped off the ninja costume and was found in Mr. On Guard's Hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also found all over the knife. The defendant bought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. It was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. And there's this button. What? That was found on the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, Wright? I'll find the hole in your argument somehow. You can press as hard as you like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. Well, I think... Yeah, who'd buy a fancy gold knife? Just for... Who'd buy a fancy gold butter knife just for a murder? That's what I want to know. Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client brought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has a Gatewater seal set into the handle. Gatewater? I think I've heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. This is a very big... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There's no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough not to realize this. But I didn't. Oh. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corrider's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of the table. There's a knife and a fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt On Guard. Especially what was on top of his table. There's something missing. Perhaps is it a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came to the conclusion that Mr. Matt On Guard's knife was missing. Mr. On Guard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven that this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Redworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction.
Seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning.
This must be one of those traps, and I just walked headlong into it. A murder weapon with fingerprints and a button from the victim's costume. There's quite a sizable amount of evidence here. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your Honour's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defence were to present evidence not yet shown to the court.
Evidence not yet shown? He means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence.
What does the defence have to say about this, Mr. Wright?
Well... Phoenix, the judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, that gavel of his will be ringing out to the sound of our defeat.
Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to the court?
There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see.
Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance, and only one.
Oh shit, I better save then.
What the judge is saying, Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here.
If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us.
You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence you must show to the court?
Yeah, it's gotta be either the wine glass or the suicide note, or the suicide report.
This is a wine glass, is it not?
Please take a look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase was broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser.
Well, yes, I see your point.
However, this glass that's sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over, along with everything else, was this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say?
Well, yes, it is a little peculiar.
Yes, isn't it? I thought it was.
You can stop looking at me with those puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Redworth?
What is it, Your Honor?
Your opinion.
You don't need my opinion. Because there's no special meaning to that glass. What? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking.
That does sound very plausible. Mr. Wright?
Could Miss Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? It's possible. It's possible that's what happened. There's nothing that points to Miss Andrews not being the one who set the cup down. If I raise an objection here, that would only make the judge slam his gavel down. You can't think like that, Phoenix. Mia, right now you're hanging on a very thin thread. Anything else you can grab onto right now is better than nothing. So in other words, push as far as we can go. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We'd like to see something that proves it was Miss Andrews who set the cup on the table.
You've turned the situation on its head yet again, as usual. Mr. Redworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim?
There's no way he has any. He's just bluffing.
Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then... Of course it has already been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There was only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Then whose were they? They were not of the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were of one Adrian Andrews. What? That is why I said that the person who discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? I can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the wine glass when she went to see Mr. Corridor. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser. What you just said makes a lot of sense. Now do you see, Wright? You can't change any part of my scenario, as it explains everything all too well. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answers I've come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet. The prosecution has yet another witness he would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Yes. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please.
Gotcha.
I wonder what happened to that calm composure he had earlier.
Oh, edgy boy. It's been, what, a year since we last met, hasn't it? You should be more happy to see me.
I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet it was the Wicked Witch of the witness stand?
I tell you, this time I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm going to tell you anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with that terrible crime.
Miss Witness, that terrible crime is all this court needs to know.
Oof! Shush! I'm talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps.
Yes, madam. No, please, by all means interrupt her, please. Anyway, witness, your testimony, please.
It's true what they say, that youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with?
The witness was on security detail on the hotel the night of the murder. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag?
It was a great job being able to see my dearie Juan. It was almost too much for my little heart to handle.
You mean you were a fan of the victim?
Look, everyone's crazy over that on guard, saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm only interested in a real man, Juan Corrida.
But those two were the same age.
Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night.
Very well. Please tell the court what you witnessed the night of the murder.
Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around in the hallway in front of his room.
There was something I was interested in finding out, you know. Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out the whole time. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming out of poor Juan's room. It was On Guard, Matt On Guard. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. So Mr. On Guard came out from the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He's the murderer. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Miss Oldbag, what was your post on that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help set up the stage for that trifling show. But I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was for that lead-headed samurai show.
I even took out a few of the nails.
Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, that manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard at it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little. And that's when you went to hang around the victim's door? Something you were interested in, and just what was that? It's not some little thing I could just go around telling everyone, you know. It's top secret between me and Juan. And Edgy Poo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she was interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it appended to a testimony later. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. And did the witness stay in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Oh? And would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corda's room? I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness then saw someone, correct? Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny.
The man that came out of Juan's room, he was...
Yes, he was. I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have Francisca's whip right about now. Well, I guess I can tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway. You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yesy. Really? Annoying brat. When I say I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get a sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. What were they carrying? What was the man you saw carrying? In which hand? His right or his left? Now this is a real mess. I mean, I can't be expected to answer such a vague question. Indeed. Please be more specific with your question, Mr. Wright. Sorry. What was the man you saw carrying in his right hand? He wasn't carrying anything in that hand. Then how about his left?
empty.
Well, this whole thing has been a lot of nothing. So, Mr. Wright, was this testimony just now important or relevant in any way? Yeah, I'd say no, because the only thing you'd expect to see in his hand would be a knife, which was obviously left in the victim. Oh shit, I picked the wrong option. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you'd like to point out what part of that testimony was important. You don't really have to put it that way to get me to say, Mr. Wright, there's something much more valuable than a person's pride, and that is time. Please don't waste this court's precious time with pointless questions. Yes, Your Honor. I think I just wasted his good favor. She may not remember things or be mistaken here or there, but I don't think she's lying. That's bad for us. Really bad. But that's also how the human mind is. It also has the tendency to jump off topic. She's strayed into a few interesting side topics this time too, hasn't she? That's what makes her a sweet old lady, right? That's because you're not the one who has to question her. Alright, let's try it again. What about their clothes? Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome man you are. Really, as if something like that matters. But it does. Now what was it? Oh yes, it was that one thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he was always wearing. That racing jacket. Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center, too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright? Yeah, that was pretty important. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that what the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but all right. Witness, please. Ah, well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must... He was wearing his flashy racing jacket. Honestly, it's all just for show. Is that what you think? Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? It's button number 2 on the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it at a single glance. Give it here. Give it here. If you don't give it to me, I'll punish you with this. Wow, she really is a diehard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Mr. On Guard's body during a full-body search. See? See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was that rascal On Guard. It was caught on the pleats of his nickel samurai hakama pants. See? See? And On Guard is the nickel samurai. Witness. Now, it may just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt On Guard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? I'm so sorry. Sorry that you judge people based on what they wear. If I wore the
Now, hold your tongue still there for a second. So, what you saw in actuality was not Mr. On Guard, the man, but Mr. On Guard, the nickel samurai?
But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too?
Well, it might be something worth considering.
Just say it's important and agree with me for a change. Witness, think carefully and try to remember as much as you can before you testify. All right, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. On guard. On guard. Yes, now I remember. The Nickel Samurai. That's right. It was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn that Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. I already see the contradiction in there. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Did you think there could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy, thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. Young'uns today. I told you, if there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. And what I say is the truth. At least she's as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may now cross-examine the witness. Maybe his profile? Okay, so there's nothing in my evidence that says Matt On Guard didn't know about the post-ceremony stage show. So let's just press her for now. Is there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show? Well, all the contestants were supposed to go on stage in a friendly gesture thing. And that included the Jammin' Ninja? Of course it included him. That's why when On Guard came out of Dear Juan's room, I didn't give it a second thought. I see. Well, anyway. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, was it really the Nickel Samurai? As showy as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in her testimony, and it's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. Yeah, let's take a little look at the walkthrough. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not too long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago? Then let me ask you this. When you... Shit. Something about something about being itty-bitty, huh? What did you want to be when you grew up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I, wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's court. So what? See?
And look where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you?
Well, what I said earlier, who puts any weight into things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? All that matters is that a man was inside that costume. Isn't that enough? I got an achievement for that one. And why would that be? That way, no one could see his face, of course. But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you'd think the costume would make him stand out all the more.
You're such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say.
Isn't that what you're always doing to me? I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of the costume. I don't know how that's a contradiction, but okay. Please take a look at this. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. If you're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. That's the knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence was important to this case? You don't even have to ask. It's because the defendant's fingerprints were on it. Is that what you're driving at? It's exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? And whose car are we driving? If Mr. On Guard was really in the Nickel Samurai costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. I mean, he was using it earlier to eat, wasn't he? Actually, he would have wiped all previous fingerprints on this knife right off. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. Why? Why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There's no way he'd do something like that. However, there is one possibility. Then let's hear your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while in its costume. The defendant went to the victim's room while in costume as the Nickel Samurai. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Which is why he took his gloves off. But the murder still did take place. It's well known that there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I've heard that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with this theory? Yeah, the stabbing wasn't the cause of death. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. On Guard was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's impossible for the killer to have gone to the victim's room without intent. Naturally, you point to the one piece with the least value, but with such vigor. Enjoy your youth while you can. Humans don't live forever. Neither do lawyers. Are you implying that lawyers aren't human? You sure like to think you can bluff your way out of things, don't you? Phoenix, pay attention. Let's pretend for a second that Mr. On Guard is the murderer. Now from that angle, if he didn't have a murderous intent from the very beginning, then that means a certain object shouldn't have been at the scene of the crime, right? Yeah, the knife. This knife. It was used by Mr. On Guard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corda. I suppose. However, you just said it yourself. At that time, the defendant held no intent to murder. If that were true, then why would he bring a knife? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the murderer was wearing the costume at the time of the murder, then there should be glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. This knife was planted by the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order! Order, I say! Order in the court! Was this knife really planted by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? It's to frame my client, Mr. On Guard, of course. To frame... Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one? But we just established that the witness saw the Nickel Samurai in costume, and if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Ugh! Witness! Looks like I made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Edgy Poo? Witness, did you or did you not really see the Nickel Samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. On Guard with the Nickel Samurai, his character on TV? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the Nickel Samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the Nickel Samurai? Alright then, who were you waiting for then? That's top secret to anyone outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Corrida, am I correct, witness? The way you think. You are a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? So Old Bag was waiting around in front of the victim's room, but it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Maybe Phoenix. Maybe the old bag was waiting around for that person. It's who I think Mia's hinting at. It's certainly possible. Miss Oldbag, you were waiting for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? She probably attacked Lotta for the photos. What are you talking about, Phoenix? She could have waited until the next century and this would have never happened. Ouch. Busted. Guess there's no fooling her. You two, what do you think you're doing flirting in my courtroom? We weren't doing anything like that, honest. Well, back to the drawing board on this one. Oldbag was waiting around in front of the victim's room, but it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Corrida. Miss Oldbag. Okay, the walkthrough says Adrian, I don't know why. Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. On Guard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems this is the latest rumor in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is... Ah, I see. The judge seems to be really into that article, if it can be called such a thing. Then this manager with the initials AA, are you saying it's... Adrian Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well.
Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then.
Witness, what in the world are you... Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a very bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how will you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this. However, I simply cannot let this point slide. I see. Very well, then. Witness, please testify about this secret information. Get ready.
This is gonna take the wind out of you young'uns.
I'm sure we're all capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10 years old. That on guard is one evil, evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get in close with Juan. I cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took action.
Oh, and this is top secret, you got that? Nobody else but you and me know yet, okay?
The defendant sent his manager? What a distasteful topic for this court.
What? Nobody's above gossip. Isn't there a saying, the truth is never pleasant? Never heard that one before.
Mr. Redruth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We've looked into this matter and found that the truth the article proposes is, in fact, baseless gossip. But should this be true, then this proves that the defendant did bear ill will toward the victim.
So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Be careful. The old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right. On guard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you gotta burn old bags with a fire. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. I feel like that's a song reference. Well, I already know. I already know what's wrong with this statement. I don't know what to present, though.
Help me walk through.
Wait.
What? I'm a busy woman. Tea time with the kids is over.
Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yes, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you drilled a hole into my brain, you'll never find out. How in the world did that old bat get such a secret piece of information? So no one else is supposed to know this secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Old Bag? Why are you looking at me like that? Stop that. Witness. I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire your secret info, isn't it? The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart.
Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl.
She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself.
She reported such a thing?
On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, I said impressions. Then everything written on this piece of paper is completely meaningless? Ah, that's it. That's the note. Ah. No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy.
Then you're the one who took Miss Hart's note?
I'm a huge fan of Juan's, that's why. That infamous puffy-haired whippersnapper. She's working with that evil on guard. She said so herself. On guard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. I was only checking what she had written. Edgy Poo, you believe me, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before.
You really should come up with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Well, it was only a piece of paper. I suppose we can overlook this just once.
She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her?
Pile on more pressure.
If I let up on her now, she'll get away. I have to find out some way to to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. You said the only thing you stole was that note. Is that correct? Stole? Why don't you listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible, lonely trash can, that's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Miss Oldbag, I don't believe the note was the only thing you stole that night. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it?
A camera?
Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My sweetie $1,600 camera disappeared on me."
Why, witness?
What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera, too. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for? That's...
What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know?
I still eat meals like you. I fall in love and borrow things from people.
I think your definition of borrow is a little off.
I saw that woman's business card, and when I noticed it said, Slimebag Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire, well, when I saw that, I had to know what sort of pictures she'd taken.
I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things.
Bailiff, check this camera's photos, hurry. We must examine them at once. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have?
There's only one photo that seems relevant to this case.
Please present it to the court. This is the Nickel Samurai.
See, I told you, that's the guy I saw.
This proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. What does this all mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
This photo by itself does not prove that the person in it is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. On-Guard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume.
If that's the case, then this Nickel Samurai is
the defendant.
How did it come to this? I think this brings us to an end. We've examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. Final comments, Mr. Wright? The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client?
If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. But if I raise an objection here and blow it, then I'd put Maya's life in jeopardy. I can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotta took. There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming, right?
Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth?
I think we can all agree that there's nothing strange with this photo. There's no way for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster.
Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, please look at the photo one more time.
If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, then you should only need one chance, correct?
Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can't let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this photo from, anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't she take a good shot, especially when it counts?
Now then, let's hear your objection. What about this photo is strange?
Yeah, the pants are too big. The pants are too big. I'd like to direct the court's attention to this one area right here.
What are you pointing to? His ankles?
If you would see this person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't.
And what does that mean?
His pants are too big. The costume person in this photo could not have been Mr. On Guard.
What is the meaning of this?
I wonder if you would care to elaborate, with actual facts, that is. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai's poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama.
His socks. You can see his socks.
Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. There's only one explanation for this. The person inside this costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Alright. I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? That I haven't damaged his case at all?
Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Matt On Guard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless.
I figured it would come to this. What? Right. I have something I want to ask you. I think you've proven that the person inside this costume is not Matt On Guard. In that case, who is this a photo of? Who's the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah. Why is he so calm?
Mr. Wright, let's hear your thoughts. Who's the person in this photograph?
Well, obviously...
Adrian Andrews?
If you want to know who that Nickel Samurai is, it's none other than this woman. Then why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. On Guard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. On Guard that night.
And how does that all add up?
It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. On Guard's fingerprints all over it.
The knife that was used as a murder weapon.
Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime.
Order! Order! It looks like this trial has hit a most unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. A verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony.
Alright, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means the trial will go on for another day. One more day? Ah! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya...
Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow.
What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court.
Now then.
Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today.
I can't do that. We cannot hear Miss Andrews...
What? I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial.
But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development.
Unexpected development? I think you underestimate me, Your Honor.
And what do you mean by that?
That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Miss Andrews is all happening according to plan, even if Wright was a bit slow to catch on. Oh. What?
What is the meaning of this statement, Mr. Edgeworth?
Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man? Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle's far from over. Man, exactly. Man, this whole trial's just been Phoenix, like, walking through a field of Wrakes.
Very well. We will call the next witness. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will now take a 10-minute recess.
To be continued. I really do think this might have been the longest episode to date. I legitimately think it was longer than the Undertale finale, but we'll find out after I finish editing it. But if you enjoyed this video, then no further actions required on your part. And we'll see you next episode.